Hi everyone, in today's video, watch me work video, we are going to be doing Dazzle Dry manicure. This was a manicure I did a week ago, and this was Daydreaming by Dazzle Dry. And it lasted really well, so take a look. So what I see is just some free edge wear. Not bad, no chipping, and my mom does a lot of cooking and doing dishes and, you know, the usual. Mind you, her nails are quite healthy and strong. We did IBX treatment before after removing shellac, but this is really good for a nail polish. So today we're going to be removing this and doing a Dazzle Dry, using Dazzle Dry in Seduction. It's like a brownish red with a little bit of shimmer. It's gonna look really good. I'm also going to be using my new glass file. I've been testing glass files to kind of see if I change my mind about glass files. I was not a huge fan of using them, but we'll see. And just a generic cuticle pusher. So I'm going to remove it, and I use pure acetone for removal. I find it works quite well. Normally I wear gloves, but you know what? I don't care. We're going to be doing live in a couple hours, and I'm going to be doing my manicure. So what I do is I put about a pump worth of acetone and just kind of place it on the nail and just give it a few seconds for it to stick. Okay. And now what I do is I press down onto the pad, wiggle a little bit, but down, wiggle it down. And it usually comes off in like a one piece. So I don't rub this polish into the nail, because then it makes a big mess, especially when you're using like dark colors. So if there's something left, I don't worry about it. I'll get it at the end. Sometimes thumbs take a little bit longer to remove, but not bad at all. And I have to say the nails are nice and healthy underneath. After Dazzle Dry, it's a super easy removal. With the clean side. Okay, now I'm gonna grab a fresh pad, and now you can kind of scrub it, because there's barely any nail polish there. Okay, so first I'm going to shorten the nails. By the way, I ordered these files. This is Mont Bleu. I ordered larger size of this file because I'm used to much larger files, the diamond files, and this seems a little bit short. But for yourself, if you want to use it on yourself, this is really good. So I'm just going to kind of shape the nails, shorten them a little bit because they've grown. in a week. You know what, this has like an edge that's a little bit abrasive, so you can get sometimes the nail skirts, because when you're filing, some of the nails kind of nail ends up underneath the nail, so the edge you can use as a little cleaner. I also ordered the manicure sticks, so it's like a cuticle pusher, and it's like a stick for cleaning up the cuticle from the nail plate. So I'm very excited to test it. I think the products, well, the files and the cuticle pusher should be here within a few days, I think. I just got a notification that I'm receiving a package, so I hope it's from them. So I'll let you know, guys, what I think about it. I'll make a video for sure. I'm kind of going a little bit rounder today, because why not? By the way, filing back and forth is fine as long as the file is not very coarse. So what kind of rips the nails is coarse files and not the motion of filing back and forth. So it doesn't really matter if you file back and forth. That's what Seduction says, and he looked at the nail under microscope and he concluded there's no difference in how the ends look. What makes a difference is what kind of grit you're using. Okay, so as I'm filing the other hand, I'm going to apply the Blue Cross remover, the cuticle remover. So what I do is I place a little bead and kind of spread it onto the nail plate. So we'll have a couple minutes to work as I'm filing the other nails. And the little dropper is from The Ordinary. It's a cosmetic brand out of Toronto. So I'll link that below as well if you're interested. They actually have pretty good skincare products, and the bottles are awesome for the cuticle remover. The dropper is really good. When I used this file first time, I found that it was very slippery because this side is a smooth glass, but I'm kind of getting used to it, I think. So at first, when you're using something new, it's always frustrating, so it's good to have some patience. I have to say I like this file. It's very different from the diamond file. It's a little bit thicker here, so it doesn't really get into the edges, the sides as well, but it's not bad. I'm not sure how this would work on feet because it's such smaller surface, and it's very important to sometimes smooth the corners of the nails, not file them round, but smooth them. So I have to try it. But this file has 2 millimeters, my god, millimeters width, so it's not very, very thick. I used files that are 3 millimeters and they were a little bit too thick, but obviously those ones are going to be less likely to break. Because after all, this is glass and it can break. All right. If it drips on the skin, I try to remove it. Okay, now it's important to either wash your hands or really spray it with lots of water. Because we need to neutralize this product. It's very alkaline, so it will irritate the skin if it's left on the skin for too long. Okay, so as I'm always explaining, as I push, because this is so important, I move the proximal nail fold. So this skin here is a proximal nail fold. This is not a cuticle. Cuticle is what's here underneath. Proximal nail fold. When this is done on a regular basis, this skin fold shrinks. And because we did the manicure just over, well, actually exactly a week ago, there's not a lot to do. And that's what I recommend, is to do like a very simple manicure once a week. And if you have issues with like an overgrown or stretched proximal nail fold, doing that pushing back of that fold or separating from the nail plate can be done even once every few days, couple days, gently, very gently. So this can be done, but it just needs to be done very, very consistently. Now I know a lot of people that are huge fans of cutting that living skin, but I know a lot of clients that are really scared of getting that done because it looks good sometimes initially, but after a couple of days that skin tends to peel or tends to hurt. So I suggest not doing that and just kind of maintaining it gently. Tak. If you're doing this yourself, I suggest doing one hand at a time. So putting the blue cross on one hand, waiting maybe a minute or so for the skin to soften up, rinsing, pushing back the proximal nail fold, removing the cuticle, and then as that's done, then do the other hand. So I do these little circles almost, because I'm trying not to shove all that cuticle underneath that fold. I'm just trying to kind of remove it. So you see I'm kind of doing this, trying to lift it. And now go back. Normally in the salon, when I see people once every 2 weeks, I do dry manicure. I use electric file to do this part, and I really like it as well. And very often it's necessary because there is just a lot more to do. But again, if you're doing this on yourself on a regular basis, this is really, really effective, really good. So you don't need electric file. Okay, these are buffer blocks that are like, I think they're 220 or 320 or something, but they're soft, but they're big. So this is what I do. I'll try to cut them nicely. And 2-4. And these are from Cuticle, by the way. And now I'm going to soften this block a little bit, because I really don't want to scrape the nail too much. But I'm just going to smooth that cuticle area. So I'm not filing the whole nail, I'm just smoothing the where I removed the cuticle, that's it. You can go underneath the free edge. And with this, I also kind of push back that fold, making sure everything is nice and clean. The cleaner the nail, the better polish lasts. Because if you apply polish on any kind of skin, it's not going to last. It's going to peel. What I really like about electric file is the precision that it gives me. So for example, the area like this would be a little bit easier to clean with EFILE. Let me just show you. Right, and this little area. So this is definitely not used for speed, it's used for precision. This little area I'm going to cut a little bit. See, sometimes I can get it with EFILE, that's why I love using it. There we go. But you can also do a lot of damage with it, so if you're not very, very comfortable and very, very light-handed, I suggest not using it. So with the buffer block, I usually work from the middle to the outside, again from the middle to the outside. And now the free edge. I can do this on the reverse here. See, that's a cuticle. But sadly, I see many people overusing this, and you see a lot of dust flying around, which is not a dust. it's the nail flying around, so let's say be super gentle with this. Because one thing we cannot correct during a manicure is dry skin. Dry skin has to be corrected by caring for the skin and not filing it more. As one of the viewers kind of said, it's not like there was a good skin under the dry skin. It's just the good skin is dry and it's kind of breaking down, so that's what you see when it's flaking. So it's important to keep it nice and moisturized and protected, and that's how the skin is going to get softer. Okay, now I'm going to use Nail Prep by Dazzle Dry. And I do the cream and oil after because I like to have a clean nail before polishing it. I feel that applying the oil and cream and then removing it just creates extra work, but I know for some people it works, and that's great too. But for me, this works really well. If you like doing manicures with applying cream and oil first, then you might ask the client to even wash their hands or like really take a scrub brush with soap and water, I guess, and just really make sure that these nails are clean. Let me just see if there's, okay, no, it's all is good. Okay, so Dazzle Dry Base Coat. Okay, base coat time. Now, very important thing is to make sure that the base coat is clear, completely like water, that it's not like this. This is an older bottle. So this happens because the bottle cools off during the night, and then you just have to warm it up. So just stand it in the cup of water, like an inch of water. Make sure that the water does not go above the neck, that it doesn't get into the polish. And I'm going to apply a thin coat. Making sure that I don't touch any of the skin, but I cover the nail well. There is no bare edges, because the nail polish is not going to stick to the nail, the color coat. It's going to stick to base coat. So if there are edges that are not covered with the base coat, the polish is going to start peeling off the sides. As you can see, this is quite watery. Yes. And I like to ask the client to hold their thumb, especially kind of like this sideways, because the base coat is so watery that it tends to drip on the side, and then and then it takes longer to dry in that area, and we don't want to be applying a color coat over wet base coat. This is very important with Dazzle Dry. That's why Dazzle Dry is such a different system. You really have to kind of almost forget what you've learned or what you're used to with other polishes and really learn this, and you're going to have good results. It's just sometimes it's frustrating at first because we're so used to doing things our way, certain way, and sometimes with polishes it doesn't really matter that the base coat is not fully dry, but with Dazzle Dry it really matters. And make sure I don't overly deposit too much base coat on the bottom, on the free edge, because then it takes for that area takes longer to dry. So now this is dry completely. As you can see, the whole area is quite matte. This is funny, I see there is a slight difference in texture, and you know what it is? It's the shellac base coat that we did a while ago. So I can see it here. So this is not a wet base coat. It's just a bit of a base coat left from shellac. I'm just going to leave it because what am I gonna do now? Soak it off. The polish is going to cover. Believe it or not, shimmers usually cover these imperfections better than cream colors. So I find when people have even ridgy nails, a little uneven nails, a little bit of shimmer actually helps. So now what I'm going to do is dry this flat. So I'm going to tell a client to put their hand flat and then work on this, and I'm going to do the thumbs last. So you see, I don't really have much base coat on my brush. Make sure also that I apply the base coat evenly, so I don't have areas that are thicker than others. That makes the base coat dry quicker and more evenly. For the Proximal. Okay, now this is dry. And now I'm going to dry this one flat, like this. Because again, I don't want this base coat to be dripping here all over the place. Just a few seconds, like I would tell the client to kind of count to, I don't know, 15 or something. Proximal, Proximal. Okay. This is still a little bit wet. I find that when people have warmer hands, the base coat dries quicker. So the second coat of base coat is not going to be as matte as the first one, but we're gonna make sure that this is dry. Yeah, this is still a little wet, so we're gonna give it a minute. It's good to look at the nails like from different angles, so just kind of see how the light will show you if there are areas that are a little bit more shiny, which would suggest it might be, yeah, here a little bit. Not sure if you can see it, a tiny bit wet. That was almost the last nail we've painted. All right, so this one is dry, so I'm going to use Seduction. So make sure I remove the polish from the stem of the brush. Grab a little bit. And I don't overwork the polish, so I do as few strokes as I can. Again, small amount. So now this would be a time to ask the client not to move. You really don't want to flood the skin. You can see when I'm working close to the skin, I'm working slowly. Okay, Cuticle Pushers. I'm going to do the thumbs last. So as you can see, I get the majority of the polish off like somewhere in the middle, and then with a brush that has proper amount, get near the skin, because you don't want to get near the skin with a loaded brush sometimes. Babe, come and sit here, maybe, no? To na płasko? Kciuka? Kciuk na płasko trochę? Okej, super. So now, by now, the first coat is completely dry, and make sure you don't apply the polish on a wet coat of polish. Because it's going to stick to it and it's going to kind of become gooey. I know this is a good time to clean up the polish, clean up the edges. These ones are dry already. I can see that shine and fullness are gone. The top coat is going to obviously correct that. It's not much that I have to correct here. So I just use pure acetone on a acrylic brush. You can see that this one is still a little wet. Okay. And now top coat. So sometimes I find drying this second coat for a minute or two is necessary. Again, it depends on how warm it is in the room and if the client has warmer hands or not. So top coat needs to be nice and thin, must have a proper consistency. So if you are getting Dazzle dry polishes, make sure that you always get the Revive, because the Revive is necessary for this brand. I always try to grab enough top coat to cover the nail in one brush full. Sometimes it doesn't work, but I'll try to make sure that I don't re-dip the brush too many times, because the more you dip the brush, the more bubbles you're going to create in a bottle. And I make sure that I pick up the top coat gently from the bottle. Make sure again I don't touch the skin with the top coat, but that I cover all the edges. And I don't like to apply the top coat too thick. I find when it's applied too thick, it might shrink. Also, it could shrink if the actual top coat is too thick as well. Pascal? and hold it like this for a few seconds. And now I'm going to give these nails 5 minutes to dry, and we'll be right back. Okay, 5 minutes later, and these are dry. So now, oil time. So we're gonna use Dazzle Dry Oil, Maintain. Thumbs always get drier and more damaged, so they need more oil. And oftentimes people tell me that they use oil. My God, they're using oil. But then I ask them how often, and they tell me every day. But then obviously they wash their hands more than once, hopefully. So ideally, you should be using oil after every time you wash your hands, because otherwise that oil is not on the skin anymore after you wash your hands. Okay, so we're gonna use the OPI, my mom's favorite, Pro Spa. Very nice cream. A little difficult to open this lid. Initially, when you apply oil over Dazzle Dry, even when it's dry, it feels a little dull, but don't worry about that. When the oil kind of really soaks in and everything dries, everything is fine. It looks super shiny. I do the same thing for feet. When I do pedicure, I do my full pedicure. But before I put cream and oil, I put the polish on, and then I apply oil and I do the foot massage. Well, first I do the foot massage, and then like 5 minutes into it, I apply oil, and then I just go over the toes. So in 10 minutes, the toenails are completely dry and the client can put their shoes on, which is amazing. And I find the Dazzle Dry does not yellow the nails, and it keeps the nails nice and healthy, especially for people that wear polish on their toes all the time. You don't see the damage that sometimes even other polishes can cause. It is definitely different. Okay, so the manicure is done. We're going to take some pictures, and this is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.